Hello and welcome to another great, fantastic stream. I am your host, Suzette Speaks, on this beautiful Saturday morning, welcoming you to my live stream dedicated to a historic selection that was made just yesterday. If you have not heard, I want to tell you all about Miss Ketanji Brown Jackson. She has been nominated by President Joseph Robinette Biden to serve as the first Black woman on the United States Supreme Court. This is a moment that I don't think I can take, without dedicating an entire show as a Black woman lawyer, as a Black person, as an American citizen, as a human being. I'm so grateful that I'm alive to witness this historic changing of the guard, so to speak. We're going to talk a little bit about who she is, her life, what her pick means to the Supreme Court. As I stated, this is something that, for me, looking back at American history and seeing that this same Supreme Court 100 years ago made decisions that did not include Black people being full human beings, granting them the same rights under the Constitution as we have now. So to see this court literally change in complexion, I am so grateful to be alive to witness. So I have to talk about it. I hope you have something to say. I hope you will share your thoughts. I will be dropping the link shortly. But I want to let you know that this is going to be a little 101 at a glance look at this nominee, her history. She grew up where I am in Miami, Florida. Her parents were educators. She has served 10 years on the federal bench. She is an exemplary attorney and judge, and she's overqualified, quite frankly, for this position. So I'm really excited that we are at a time now, our country is ready to see a woman who happens to be Black, who happens to be a Harvard Law graduate, and a 10-year plus track record as a federal judge, now be elevated to the highest court in the land for the first time. I'm excited about it. I want to tell you more about her as I've been doing my research. I find that, again, her story is so compelling. Her parents, public school teachers. Many of the places that she's traversed in Miami, I'm familiar with. So it hit home literally. Her mom was a principal at New World School of the Arts. Shout out to New World. She is a graduate of Miami Palmetto High School. And what is really interesting about that high school, we've had a lot of people, I didn't go there, but a lot of folks who are quite prominent ended up at Miami from graduating from Miami Palmetto. One being Jeff Bezos went to Miami Palmetto. Our current United States Surgeon General went to Miami Palmetto, and a couple other people. I was like, what's going on there? What's going on down there at Miami Palmetto? But they have another distinguished alumni that they can be proud of. Again, she is a stellar candidate, and hopefully, according to the timeline set out by the Judiciary Committee in the United States Senate, hopefully we'll see her confirmed by Easter. But before we get into the details of who she is and where she's been and how wonderful Supreme Court justice she will make if confirmed by the Senate, we are going to chat a little bit about, again, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first Black woman to be nominated to the U.S. Supreme Court. Go ahead and hit the like button as you come in. I want to welcome each and every one of you. We are simulcasting, as we do on Saturdays, on Jamaicans.com's Facebook page. Welcome to all of you. Drop a comment. Let me know you're watching over there. Of course, there are those watching on the Let's Talk Justice Facebook page, as well as my YouTube channel. Big up everybody watching. So thank you again. Drop a comment. Let me know you're here. Let me know you are in the building, whether you are watching from the islands. Hey, if you're watching from where I am in Florida, if you're watching from around the world, I want to know. I want to welcome you again. This is Suzette Speaks. This is my YouTube show. I do it 3 times a week live. So if you are into politics, social justice, a little bit of law, as well as personal development and current events, please join me over on YouTube. The link is in the description over on Facebook. So welcome to all of my fam who have been rocking with me, and welcome to all of my new subscribers now, part of the Suzette Speaks community. I want to thank you for joining me. Again, we're talking about the nomination by President Biden of the first Black woman to the U.S. Supreme Court. She is, like I said, abundantly qualified to be nominated. She has had a fantastic legal career. And I wanted to make sure we highlighted this in case you are hearing. Of course, they will cover this in the news. Anything that may try to disparage her. She is a woman of integrity, of character, graduate of Harvard, double graduate, undergraduate, and law school. And I have so much more to tell you about her. But before I do, I want to welcome you. Hit the like button. Again, getting to know this fantastic nominee. You see her there. She has been approved by the Senate 3 times before. So hopefully this will be just another Senate approval, as it should be. And I want to welcome each and every one of you. Drop a comment. Let me say hello to my people. Let me make sure I see who's in the building. And I want to thank you again for coming on and enjoying, hopefully, this stream with me as we talk a little bit about this historic nomination. So first and foremost, let me check my chat. Thank you so much for coming in. Yes, RM was first. Fantastic. Lovely to see you, one of my moderators here. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you're here. Guten. A little German. Okay. Guten Morgen. Good morning. How are you? Nice to see you, Kid Nardak. I'm glad you are here. Welcome, Miss Globe Girl. Thank you for coming through. Hey, hey, hey. Morning on the West Coast, at least. That's what he says. Thank you so much. I'm glad to see you here. You did a wonderful stream with me a couple Saturdays ago. Is God still important? Go back and check it out, guys, if you missed that show with my special guest, Kid Nardak. And go check out his channel. Very, very interesting gentleman. But welcome, welcome. Salute to Before the Billions. Nice to see you, sir. Before the Billions is another fantastic content creator, part of the YouTube community here we have going on. And I'm actually looking forward to seeing more of his posts. They had a YouTuber get together this past Thursday. So I'm excited. Before the Billions said he was doubling as a photographer there. So I can't wait to see that. Hopefully I'll catch the next one. That one was in Atlanta. But big up yourself, Before the Billions. Thank you for coming through and for always supporting. Hit the like button, like RM says, please. And Attorney Rob L. Esquire is in the building. Thank you for your support, sir. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate you coming through. You are my brother-in-law, so I'd love to hear what you have to say. I'll be dropping the link a little bit later to see what folks have to say about this historic nomination. I appreciate you. Not the, okay. Thank you, Sunbreeze. Sexy, confident, mature. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. I received it. Thank you so much for being here. West Coast in the building. It's cloudy over there. Okay. Good morning. Good morning to you. We have a beautiful day here in Miami. I'm loving it. I just felt, springy. And I was very pleased when I saw this news yesterday. So I said right away, I'm going to make sure to highlight her so you can get to know her. Because oftentimes, again, we see these headlines, but we don't really get to know the person behind the headline. So I'm hoping to fill in some gaps for you today, tell you more about her, tell you more about her story as far as her education, her personal journey, as well as her professional journey, so we can have an idea of who hopefully will be confirmed by the U.S. Senate to serve as the first Black woman ever. The court is about 232 years old, the institution that we know as the United States Supreme Court. So this will be the first time in 232 years, y'all, that a Black woman will ever sit on the highest court in the United States. So it's very important that we talk about it. It's very important that we support this nominee. And again, I'll tell you why, because she's ultimately, again, more qualified than some of the people sitting on the court right now. Not going to get there, but I'm going to say it out loud. So if we're looking for someone who is competent, someone who is fair, someone who has a proven track record, this is the woman. This is the woman. President Biden had about top 3 picks, but I kind of felt like she was the leading pick all along. Many had said the same. So I'm excited to see that she has been put forward. I'm excited to see that we may get history in, a very, very short period of time, hopefully in the next few weeks, if the Judiciary Committee does what it's supposed to do. I want to welcome you. Good morning, says Last Call for Insight. Nice to see you. Glad you're here. Good morning, Guesses World. We need to catch up. How are you? Been a minute. I've had a crazy week, but it's going to be all right. But I'm excited. Sometimes when work and duty calls, you got to just do what you have to do. So hence, we get busy, but glad to see you here. Thank you so much. The Black Seinfeld is in the building, had us laughing the last stream. Welcome. You're always welcome to come on up. I can't pull up your comment, Paul, But I hear your sentiment. This is not tokenism. I take issue and I take umbrage to that characterization. This is not tokenism. This is long overdue. Qualifications all considered, this is long overdue. I don't think this is tokenism at all. I think this is more pushing our court to be reflective of the people it serves, of the nation. So I do not see your point of view. Again, because of the profanity in your comments, I can't put them up. Thank you for watching though. Welcome, Jay Bones. How are you? Nice to see you. Thank you so much for always supporting, always being in the chat. Thank you so much. Good to see you, sir. You're welcome up. Jeremy, always supporting with the first super chat. Thank you very much. I'm not into politics, but I'm into this channel. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. And I always support Sister Suzette. Peace and love to you. Thank you for showing so much support. Again, I'm trying to break down politics. I don't want to kind of regurgitate a lot of the tenor and tone that you hear on the news. I want to bring a little bit of my personal insight and some kind of hidden facts sometimes that you won't see in mainstream media, especially when it comes to this nominee. I think, again, the timing is impeccable. And again, for those of you who don't think it's important that a court reflect the people that that it serves, I think it's super, super shallow or shallow-sided. Maybe I don't mean to be. I mean to be critical without being personal. I think it's very short-sighted even to look at a court that has been dominated. I think I have on one of my PowerPoints that the court has had 115 members and 108 have been white men. So if that to me is reflective to you or anyone watching as, a full representation of the landscape of the United States when it comes to gender, race, religion, and professional experience, it is not. It is not. It has been a long time that the court was only occupied, like I said, 108 out of 115 individuals by white men. Now, again, I think that there is a lot to be said about fairness, and there were many individuals who served who tried to apply the law with equality to all. But for a very long time, our court, our U.S. Supreme Court was on the wrong side of history, is the best way I can put it, because of the lack of diversity, because of the lack of access for qualified individuals to ascend to this position. So I think of it more of as a really, like I said, this could have been years ago. When I think about one of the first or the first Black woman to serve on the federal bench, Miss Constance Baker Motley out of New York, she would have made an incredible United States Supreme Court justice, but our country was not ready. Our country was not ready. So I thank Mr. Jeremy Trussell. Again, I'm going to highlight things that I find interesting and very important. And I think that you should know as well. So I appreciate you supporting me in this journey of delving into some of the current events of the day, some of the politics of the day, social justice. And my guest in the next few weeks will reflect that. So thank you again, Jeremy, for all of your support. Hit the like button, y'all. We're getting to know the very first, or hopefully the very, very first Black woman in the history of our country to serve on the United States Supreme Court. And I'm excited to tell you more about her just momentarily. I'm going to say hello to a few more. You guys hit the like button. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And let me see who else is in the chat. Thank you so much. Let me know where you're watching from. California in the building. Baltimore, Maryland in the building. Thank you so much for being here. And again, like I said, this is something that must be noted, It has so much significance. So let's get the show started. Let's get into it. Who is Miss Ketanji Brown Jackson? Well, wanted to bring you a little bit more about her and where she's from, how she got into law, et cetera, et cetera. So I hope you enjoy kind of this review. I'm going to also drop the link momentarily to get your insights. If you do come up in the back, you have to show your face. You have to be cammed up so I'll know exactly, who you are. And as you share your opinion, I'll be happy to hear what you guys have to say. Go back and watch my show as well about the invasion of Ukraine. We have done some heavy lifting this week. Again, there's so many things I want to say, even in addition to what I said during that show. My prayers are with the people of Ukraine. I always want to acknowledge what's happening in the world in real time. So been thinking a lot about what's going on over there. Today is also the 10-year anniversary of the death of Trayvon Martin. I'm going to see if I can get either his mom or dad. I would love to interview them. Reached out. Don't know if that's going to happen, but that's something, again, of significance to me. And I think was a catalyst for this generation in terms of the social justice movement we've seen, the acknowledgement we are seeing beyond the Black community of issues of policing and equal application of the law. So we're going to take it up a notch. I hope you guys are with me. So anyway, we're getting into it today. A historic nominee has been made, this lady, by Joseph Biden. Right? Her name is Miss Ketanji Brown Jackson. If confirmed, she will be the first Black woman to be seated. She's the first Black woman ever nominated, first and foremost, but she will be the first Black woman to be seated on the Supreme Court of the United States. I'm really excited about it. All right, so in his announcement, I'll remove myself so you guys can see it. This was the tweet that came out yesterday from President Biden's Twitter. And that tweet reads, "I'm so proud to announce that I'm nominating Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson to serve on the Supreme Court. Currently serving on the U.S. Court of Appeals for D.C. Circuit, she is one of our nation's brightest legal minds and will be an exceptional justice." That's what the president tweeted out yesterday in his announcement of his nominee. So we're going to take a brief look at a glance at who she is, get some information about her so you are familiar with her as you see her making her rounds around Capitol Hill. She'll be meeting with lawmakers, going over her background, her experience with them. That's a normal protocol for Supreme Court justices. So they have now made the schedule. She has again made it or been officially announced now. So now she will be going to Capitol Hill to meet with senators whose job it is, according to our Constitution, to confirm her. All right. So what does it look like as far as who she is and where she's from? So Ketanji is the daughter of public school teachers. She grew up with parents who taught public school. Her dad eventually went on to go back to law school, but taught public school, born in D.C., raised where? In MIA, in Miami. Graduated, as I told you, from Miami Palmetto Senior High School. She was a class of 1988. Shout out to the Palmetto Senior High grads. Parents grew up in segregation. They grew up during the time of Jim Crow segregation here. Parents graduated from historically Black colleges. All right. Now this is funny about Supreme Court justices. They do go back to all of your history. I'm talking about you better been a Girl Scout or a Boy Scout since the day you were born, because they found out a lot about you, or they do research a lot about you. And they found out that she was the mayor, I love it, of her junior high school. She was high school class president. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about her legal career. She ended up clerking after law school for Justice Stephen Breyer, whom she will replace. He's retiring at the end of this term, of the Supreme Court term. And she is also endorsed by the Fraternal Order of Police. And one of the things I love that she mentioned while she responded to her official announcement, there was a press conference yesterday, and she talked a lot about her family. And one of the things she did highlight is that she has a lot of family members. I think it was a couple uncles and her brother, I believe, who are in law enforcement. She has the endorsement of the Fraternal Order of Police. She also talked about an uncle who got caught up in the drug culture and was arrested and is serving a life sentence. So I like the fact that, she was very transparent with that. She was very open, and it grounds her. It's a part of, I can relate in different families. We have different people going on. But her uncle was also police chief of Miami. So she has an interesting background. Her mom ended up becoming a principal at New World School of the Arts, and her dad went back to school after serving as a public school teacher. He decided to go back to law school, and we'll see how that influenced who she became. I appreciate, thank you, Jay Bones. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Drop a comment. Let me know where you're watching from. Lovely to see all of you. Suzette Speaks here. Let me do a quick reset. I am introducing many of you to, or some of you, to the newly announced nominee to the U.S. Supreme Court, none other than Miss Ketanji Brown Jackson. I want to go over a little bit of her background, why this pick is significant, why it's super important to who we are as United States, and hopefully it will open the door to many more picks like her in the future. Hit the like button. Again, I'm just going over some basics of who she is, her personal life, her professional career, and a little bit about, her service on the federal bench, right? Super qualified to be doing what she is being nominated for. So let's get back to it. As I said, parents were educators, grew up in Miami, graduated from Palmetto Senior. And we'll talk a little bit more about her formative years as to why, she ended up in law school. And I love this story. And I think this is super interesting. And I'd love to share it with you. So as you can see here, she was an outstanding high school debater. And one of the formative events of her life, one of the things that really influenced her in terms of where she wanted to go to school and what she wanted to be, was that she went to a speech and debate competition at Harvard while she was in high school. You see that Harvard on her laptop there, right? So after going to that speech and debate competition, she was inspired to attend Harvard. She was like, oh my gosh, I could go here. And she went back, and her high school counselor said to her not to set her goals too high. Don't set your sights so high, my dear, as if she would not be able to get into a Harvard. So guess what that did? Thank goodness. Put a spark into her. And guess where she ended up going for her undergraduate? You guessed it, to Harvard. But yes, it is one of those stories that reminds you why representation matters, why it's super important that we do see people from all backgrounds at all levels of government, as the Supreme Court never having had, and we will go into some of the history, a Black woman and why. We've only had 2 Black men serve, but I could imagine being that young lady, because I've had, especially when I was in college, I've had so-called guidance counselors, I don't know what kind of guidance they were giving, deter me from picking a certain major, from trying out for certain clubs and student organizations. Oh yes. This is not uncommon. So when she says it, was told by her high school counselor not to set her sights too high when she said she wanted to attend Harvard. I know that story all too well, but thankfully that did not deter her. She ended up graduating from Harvard with her undergraduate degree, magna cum laude, and she went on to Harvard Law. So most people do not know, when you talk about magna cum laude, summa cum laude, and all those Latin terms, it just means with honor. And it's usually about the GPA. Magna cum laude is, I think, 3.8 to like 3.9 GPA on a 4.0 scale. Summa cum laude is 4.0, that kind of thing. So you just want to make sure that you know that she graduated at the top is basically what that means. As I stated, she went on for her second degree at Harvard Law. Not easy to get into there. But if you graduate magna cum laude, you're all right. You're probably going to get in. And she was editor of the Harvard Law Review. Oh my gosh, if y'all don't understand what that means, Law Review is basically a journal that law students write in, but it is a highly selective process to even be invited to join the Law Review, much less to be voted as the editor of the Law Review. That is a huge deal. And to be editor of her Law Review at Harvard it speaks volumes. So wonderful distinction to have. And for those of us who've gone to law school, like myself, and been through law school, we know how prestigious it is to be editor of your school's law review. So she was the Harvard editor of the Law Review. That is huge. Let me see what y'all saying in the comments. Welcome. Hit the like button and let me know where you're watching from today, discussing the nomination of the first Black woman to the United States Supreme Court, Ms. Ketanji Brown Jackson. Love to hear your thoughts. I'm going to drop the link in a little bit. Going over just some facts about her life, where she came from, how she grew up, how interesting her background is and unique, because I'm thinking of this, not guys, just not to tell you about it, but this is the experience that she's bringing with her to the bench. And for those of us who are attorneys, I see a couple of my brothers and sisters in law in the chat. You will know that Judges are supposed to be neutral. Judges are supposed to be impartial. But we know that judges are living human beings who bring their real life experiences with them in the courtroom every day. So, who a judge is in terms of the life they've lived, how they grew up, and how they were shaped is super important. Even when it comes to your local races, wherever you live, pay attention to the judges. You want to know how they grew up. You want to know if they're civically involved, as we're going to discuss about Ketanji Brown Jackson. You want to know what life experiences will they be bringing with them to the bench, because that's how we will know what experiences will inform. Again, they're supposed to be applying only the law, but their experiences do inform, meaning influence, how they approach the decisions they make. So, depending on how you grew up, you oftentimes apply certain life experience to what you're seeing before you as far as cases. So it's important for me to highlight how she grew up, because she's going to be bringing, guys, these experiences with her to the bench. I see you, DL Saint. Big up yourself for being a fantastic supporter. Thank you. Had you on talking about Russia. And when I talk about Russia and the Ukraine, again, I would love to have you back. I know you are a history buff like myself, so I'm glad you were up with me on the last stream talking about what took place on Tuesday. So thank you, DL Saint, for your support. I appreciate the super sticker, my brother, and you are welcome up anytime. Again, we're talking a little Supreme Court today, getting to know the nominee made by President Biden. I wish. U.S. President Joe Biden on the next judge. He will hopefully have confirmed to the Supreme Court, happens to be a Black woman. But as we go over her professional acumen, you'll see that there is no question as to her abilities and qualifications for this wonderful, prestigious honor to serve on the nation's highest court. So thank you again, DL. Hit the like button, y'all. Hope you're enjoying the topic. I see you guys in the comments. Welcome, Andre Terry. I see you. Appreciate you being here. Another fantastic Patreon member. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for stopping in. Ebony, big up yourself. I love it. Glad to see you. Yes, she is overqualified. We just getting started. Overqualified is an understatement. Big up yourself. Thank you. And West Philly, I always want to put you in NYC. West Philly in the building, Andre says. And welcome to all of you watching, whether you're watching on the Facebook platforms of our co-host, Jamaicans.com, or on the Let's Talk Justice page, or right here on YouTube. Big up yourself. Let me know you are watching. I see you, Black Panther 11 in the chat. Welcome. Hit the like button as you come in. All right, so we're going over some of her background, how she grew up. And I was just highlighting for you that, again, most of the people who went to high school with her had these comments, which were, she was an amazing debater on the debate team. She was a respected debater. And she went as far as to debate at a competition at Harvard, inspired her to go there, came back. Guidance counselor told her, no, not so much, ma'am. Don't set your sights too high. And she went anyway, graduating there, magna cum laude from undergraduate, and then went to Harvard for law school and became editor of the Law Review, which is huge. All right. Also wanted to highlight that yesterday is 2 years to the day. Let me make it a little bit bigger. 2 years to the day that President Joe Biden promised, while speaking at a debate during the South Carolina primary, can you believe it's been 2 years, that he, in fact, would nominate a Black woman to the Supreme Court. And 2 years to the day, 2 years to the day, he kept that promise. Amazing. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about her from a personal perspective, who she is as a woman. She is 51 years old. She is a wife and mother of two. Her daughters are Talia and Layla. I think they're 17 and 21, if I'm not mistaken. She was married to her husband in 1996. His name is Mr. Patrick G. Jackson. You'll see a picture of him shortly. He's a surgeon, and they met at Harvard. All right. When she was nominated to where she sits now on the D.C. Court of Appeals, she was supported by Republican senators. So she did have support across the aisle, not just Democrats voted for her. but her past support, and I'm bringing this up because she'll need, actually, she'll be able to, Democrats can get her confirmed without Republican support, because they have 50 members of the United States Senate and 50 are Republican. When there is a tie, when there's a 50-50 chamber, remember we have 100 senators, 50 right now, like I said, are Democrats, 50 right now are Republicans. The vice president makes the tie-breaking vote. So right now, if all the Democrats voted for her confirmation and all the Republicans voted against, the tiebreaker would be Vice President Harris, Kamala Harris. So no matter what happens, the Democrats have the numbers because the rules were changed back in 2017. The Republicans actually changed the rules to make it only 50 or plurality, right? Simple majority, so that a person could be nominated with 51 votes, right? Or confirmed with 51 votes. So with that, the Democrats really don't need technically any Republican support. But I will put forth that on the record, prior nominations, like I said, she's been before the Senate before 3 different times. When she was nominated, and if you look at the third bullet, when she was nominated to the D.C. Court of Appeals, which is the second most powerful court to the Supreme Court in our country, her appointment was supported by Republicans, Susan Collins, Lindsey Graham, and Lisa Murkowski. There were 3 Republicans that supported her when she was nominated in 2021 by President Biden. All right, so it'll be interesting to see. I point those out because it'll be interesting to see if those 3 same Republicans do support her confirmation for the U.S. Supreme Court, because they've supported her in the past. Lindsey Graham has already put out statements about how this is a radical left nominee, and I'm like, bruh, you just supported her. You just voted yes on her last year. Right, so here comes politics, and that's what we'll see during some of the nominations as she makes her rounds, some of the discussion on her nomination, I'll say. All right, so who were prior Black justices? For those who don't know, Clarence Thomas, who is still serving, who is more conservative. And prior to Clarence Thomas, there was only one other Black person ever. That was Thurgood Marshall. He was retired from the U.S. Supreme Court in 1991. He died in 1993. So she will only be the third Black person, first Black woman, third Black person ever in the history of the United States Supreme Court. Is this, it's great. We're making progress, but it's still taking this long. All right. As I told you before, there have been 115 U.S. Supreme Court justices, and 108 to this point have been white men. And the U.S. Supreme Court is a 232-year-old institution. So we see a trend. And again, it takes one to start breaking the mold. So I'm very, very grateful that this glass ceiling, if you will, is about to be broken if she's confirmed. All right, let's talk a little bit more about her. And again, I'm going to drop the link now if you want to come on up. Let me know your opinion. And again, because the block is so hot when it comes to Russia, when it comes to Trayvon Martin's anniversary, anything else we have going on in current events, I wouldn't mind if you wanted to give a little commentary on those things as well. And we'll make it a little open chat after this. But I'm really, again, moved by this nominee. Again, her experience speaks for itself. She is abundantly qualified. And I don't want to hear it when it comes to the politics from our Republican brothers and sisters when it comes to her nomination. Again, like I said, Lindsey Graham, who just voted for her, had some politically charged comment to make about her being a radical nominee. And I'm like, brother, you just voted for her in 2021. Slow down. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit more about her experience on the bench, right? She has experience as a trial judge and will become, if confirmed, the only justice on the Supreme Court to serve on the United States Sentencing Commission. This was a commission that was made. Hey, I see you in the back, Nardak. How are you? I'll bring you up just momentarily. She was will be the only person, if confirmed to the Supreme Court, to have served on the Sentencing Commission. And this was a commission that actually President Biden helped to form when he was a U.S. Senator to focus on reducing unwarranted disparities in sentencing law, right? So you guys remember this whole discussion about the difference between powder cocaine, crack cocaine. People went to jail for a long time for non-violent crimes, right? So she was a part of that sentencing commission. It was approved by the U.S. Senate. So that was the first time she was approved by the U.S. Senate. And again, she has to be approved by the U.S. Senate to be on the Supreme Court, right? So she served on there, was approved by the Senate for that. Then her second approval came when she was confirmed as a judge on presiding over trials on the federal district court. So that's day in, day out trial experience where she is sitting on basically the trial court for federal cases. What does that mean? So it's hard. I'm not getting too legal, but you have different levels of courts, right? You have trial courts, which are the first court usually to handle kind of a case. Then you have appellate courts. So you have federal trial court. She's been a judge there. Then you have the appeals court, right? If you don't like the judgment, if you don't like the verdict, or you feel like there was a miscarriage of justice or something and the law was not applied correctly, you can appeal to the next highest court, the Court of Appeals. She's also served as a judge on the Court of Appeals. And then beyond the Court of Appeals, at the very top would be the U.S. Supreme Court when it comes to federal law, federal cases, right? So she served as a judge on the first level. She served as a judge on the appeals level. And now, hopefully, she'll be confirmed to the very highest level. All right, so that's basically what this slide is saying. She's confirmed. She was confirmed and will have served longer than Chief Justice John Roberts as a trial judge, just saying. And like I said, she was recently appointed last year as a judge to the U.S. Court of Appeals of the District of Columbia. Again, that is a premier Court of Appeals, considered to be second highest as far as influence to the U.S. Supreme Court. And that's where she was a judge on the Court of Appeals. Heavy hitter, y'all. Heavy hitter. All right. And I'm going to bring up my brother Kenardak in the back again, just as a quick review. Let me bring him up first before I lose my guess. How are you? How are you doing, sir?
Hey.
Fantastic. Let me fix this. Fantastic to see you. How you been?
I have been well, or I am. That's
Listen, language is important. Tell folks a little bit about you. If you missed him on Is God Still Important? A fantastic, deep discussion we had a couple weeks ago now. This was my special guest, and he also has a YouTube channel. So introduce yourself to the people who did not see that fantastic show.
Thank you, Suzette. Hello, everyone out there in the cosmos, in the chat. Yes, I am Armand, born of the House of Kennard. My channel name is Kennardak. I am an artist, and I have a lot to say.
Yes, and a very soothing voice, actor, just a creative soul. I'm glad he's here. So what do you think about this nomination? What are your thoughts?
Well, there's two sides to this now. There's one side that I think of my grandmother, who was born in 1933, and she got excited about all things Black, no matter what. So that's one side.
Yes.
Right. And then the other side is the illusion of inclusion. You have to be aware of that. I try not to get too emotional when it comes to things like this, because we've kind of seen this happen quite a bit, especially with, remember, Cheryl Boone Isaacs. Oh, no, hopefully you're not picking up my phone going off right now.
No, you're good. You're good.
But Cheryl Boone Isaacs, she became the first Black woman to be the president of the Academy of Motion Pictures of Arts and Sciences, and they run the Oscars, or it's an organization that runs the Oscars.
Yes.
And she was elected in 2013. 2 years after that, we had the Oscars So White movement.
Yep.
I don't know if you remember that.
Of course. Will and Jada let us know, why are we even participating when we don't get nominated? We don't get, if we're not nominated, we can't win. So Who's deciding who's the best? Exactly. Yes, I do remember.
See, and that was under her watch. So you think, okay, just because someone gets placed in a certain position doesn't mean things are just going to change the guard, because that's not where the real work is,
Yeah. Yeah.
Even go back to Obama in 2008. I was very excited about that, not to bash him, but just having a face, again, is not enough, because that's not where the real work is. So I think the real work is underneath all this.
And I think with me, I agree with you. And especially when it comes to looking back at sorry, Andrew, I see you. Sorry. The movements like the Oscars So White. Yes, there can be cosmetic changes, 100%, where it looks as if a person of color is given a position. And I actually am seeing it right now in Florida politics, not going to go in that direction right now, where I see someone who is in a very, very key position. But the more I talk to him, I'm like, bruh, you can't make no decisions. Like, what's going on right now? So that is true when it comes to sometimes when people are trying to, as you say, give the illusion of inclusion and try to put Black faces, brown faces into places where they've never been allowed, if you will, before. What I feel is a little bit different here, again, is the jurisprudence part of it. She
Mm.
will write laws. She
Mhm.
will hear cases that affect you and me, our bodies, our minds, what is taught in school. What discourages me a little, and I hear it, and it goes down a different avenue of your point, is that she will be in the minority. She
Mhm.
will be replacing Justice Breyer, and based on the recent picks of the Supreme Court, the court currently is very conservative and has a conservative majority. So right now, most cases are going in a conservative direction, 6-3. We have 9 Supreme Court justices, and she will be in the minority. She's taken the place of a similarly, what should I say, positioned individual, Justice Breyer, her mentor. She was clerk for him right after law school. That's a huge thing as well. To graduate from law school and to get a United States Supreme Court clerkship, you got to know a couple people, right? You got to
Mm.
be good,
Mm.
and you
Mhm.
got to know a couple people. Your professors, whoever, got to like really set you up. That's huge. Of course, she was editor of the Law Review, so that helped. But she had, I guess, the mentor that gave her access to the understanding of, I think, how to make change. So I think she comes with a little bit more than like an outsider kind of mentality. She understands the Supreme Court very well.
Mm.
Saying that, though, that yes, not right away. It's going to take some time. Some people going to have to retire. Oh my. Some people going to have to come off
Mm.
this bench, because she will be the second youngest at 51. So she can serve for at least, I'm praying, maybe 30 years.
So she's
Looking
Gen
at,
X.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think Amy Coney Barrett is younger than her, who
Mhm.
was just nominated by President Donald Trump. So they are both working mothers. I like that. There's never been working mothers on the bench, right? Things like this. I think they bring that life experience to, again, the law. But I do hear you. Is she going to be able to revolutionize this court right now? Probably not, because again,
Mm.
the numbers don't favor the more they would be called, or they've been characterized as, liberal wing, right? Right now, thanks to former President Trump, oh, he made sure he nominated very conservative minded people. So on a 6-3 court, she'll be there, but it's going to take more than that, or a 5-4. It's still going to be majority conservative, most likely, on most of these issues. So I hear you, but we're looking for the long game. Thank you, God. We're looking for the long game with
Yeah.
you.
I'm a little bit more patient with the process.
Yeah.
I tend to just kind of sit back and kind of see how things play out, just because there's been a pattern
Yeah.
of this kind of thing. And you mentioned the school system. I mean, while she's in the Supreme Court, we still got these boys with a 4th grade reading level.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
there's the real work is always underneath.
I agree with you.
It starts in the home. I think relying on these faces in these positions is sort of a slight miss, because regardless of who they put in these positions, the real work is at home. And I just wanted to kind of put my sprinkle to remember that, or remind people of that, even though most of you understand that anyway. That
Yes. It's not going to
yeah,
magically fix all the problems of the United States. I hear you. I do
right.
think we need people at every level to affect change. It was her during her speech, and thank you, Andrew. Andrew adds, we have to be over and above. She's a wonderful choice and a good example. She will have a couple of Republican votes. I hope so. Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, maybe not Lindsey Graham, even though he just voted for her, but okay. Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate the support with the big super chat from Andrew, NYC in the building. Yes, I agree with you. We don't want to kind of overstate the importance, but I don't want to understate it either.
Oh
Because, like
yeah.
I said, it does take work on every level. Every level. The activists in the street, the people who are pushing all kinds of, laws through the state legislatures. There's so many layers to this thing. But I do believe on the most critical issues that we will be seeing coming forward to be presented in front of the Supreme Court, her voice will matter. Her voice will matter. Like I say, it might be outvoted in the near term, but Clarence Thomas was once the freshman on the dais, and now he's considered one of the the old heads, if you will, one of the senior judges. So she too will be groomed. I think hopefully for a future that we'll be able to see more like her, and hopefully have the ability. Like I said, when people retire, there's been a lot of talk about expanding the Supreme Court. I don't think that's ever going to happen. Can Biden put more members on there? I mean, it would take an act of Congress to change the Constitution, or I think ratification by, I think it's like 2/3 of the states to change the Constitution, things like this. I don't think those things are happening right now.
Well, let me ask you a question, because when you're talking about this system that we're in, and you have these faces that are brought into these positions, isn't it more indicative of them being a part of a system that technically is already flawed? So then they would just be there to service that or
To
the agenda of
perpetuate
that
that.
system?
Well, there has been, like I said, there has been argument made. And again, Lindsey Graham, I think, was the individual that brought this up, that wanted, I think there was a woman that was in the top 3 from his state. Jim Clyburn also wanted her as well. She came from a state school. And there was an argument being made that we got all these people that come from the Ivy League, all these Harvard graduates, all in the same, cup, in the same bowl, in the same fish bowl of thought, even if there's a Black person in that bowl, right? They've been trained in that kind of same structure. I take a little bit of issue with it for her, specifically to her, but I agree with the point that we need to diversify. And I'm not speaking again with her nomination, in general, these bodies with people from all walks of life and experiences, because if not, we do get kind of like a fishbowl of the same mentality, regardless of color, regardless of race. Do I think she specifically is going to further, quote unquote, an agenda of maybe the elites, if some people want to call it that? I don't know, and I don't believe so. But I do think your point is valid when it comes to, if we have everybody on the Supreme Court that comes from the Ivy League, we're missing a very large swath of reflecting the American electorate. Not everybody, majority of us won't go to college. Majority of us don't go to Ivy League college. Hello, somebody. Now, do I want the smartest people on these courts? Absolutely. But when it comes to diversity of opinion and experience, whether it's work experience, life experience, I want that. Like I said, I want to have people who have had children sitting on a court, right? But one right now will be very conservative, Amy Coney Barrett. One will be considered, we don't know how she's going to be, but considered and assumed to be more liberal. But I hear you. When we have people from the same body, the same 3 schools, basically, majority of them coming from, the same training to sit together, it is, you wonder if they're going to have the opportunity to present a different type of I don't want to say just opinion, but thought when it comes to trying to create the future of the country. Or are they kind of regurgitating like the same thought they all have had? I agree with you. And that argument has been made with her.
So I guess the main takeaway for me is just make sure that she's not put in a position to where she has to make decisions that are counterproductive to the overall goal of melanated beings.
Listen, and the thing is, I agree with you. But once you get nominated, this is the problem. When you walk around now to the senators and they're going to ask her during her confirmation hearing, and they always go through this, how do you feel about abortion, basically? How do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? And they will all respond, considering that this case might come before me in the future, just like Andre is saying, I will not be able to give my opinion because they're supposedly not supposed to have any prejudgments. They're supposed to be impartial, right? So now we have to look back at how she's ruled at all of them. to really understand where she lands on some of these key issues. Because at this point now, she won't be able to verbalize, articulate out, directly how she thinks about an issue because she's supposed to be impartial. All of them are supposed to be. So yes,
Right.
I hear you. The track record is there, though. The track record is
Okay.
because now when they ask, they're gonna ask her, how do you feel about, what we're dealing with education, this so-called not making people feel uncomfortable. 30 states are considering types of bills that won't let us basically teach real Black history because Black history isn't comfortable. Note
Mm,
to self. And
mm,
they're having these discussions about what can be taught, especially here in Florida. I want to get one of my state senator colleagues up here. Hopefully, he can make some time to talk about this bill that has been passed by us in the Florida House. State representatives of the Florida House have passed a bill stating that they people cannot teach curriculum about American history that will make other folks, implicitly white folks, uncomfortable. And
mm,
they could sue, have rights to sue on it. And I'm thinking to myself, bruh. So only things they're calling the curriculum inspirational, only things that are inspirational.
mm,
You're going to cut out my struggle. It's inspirational. You're going to cut out my pain. You're going to cut out all that. That's inspirational. Yeah, it's a whole movement now to limit. And I think it's kind of like a backlash to the quote wokeness, woke police that people feel has taken over in the last 10 years, that they're now not wanting their children. Many are arguing that children should be able to opt out of
mm.
Black history lessons, like opt out. Like people got permission slips to go to Black history lesson class. I laugh about it to keep from crying, but that's the new movement, and that stuff will get to the Supremes, hopefully the Supreme Court. And again, with the conservative majority, even at a 5-4, we don't know what the outcomes will be. We can assume, but we don't know what the outcomes will be. Let me read a couple more comments and I'll get your
Sure.
response. Judges are supposed to be impartial. Can someone please tell them and hold judges accountable for the nonsense they've been doing on these national cases? This is what I'm saying. So when we talk about who we are nominating for and hopefully voting for president and such like that, the Supreme Court is one thing. Like him or hate him, that dude, Mr. Trump, follow through on his promises to nominate very conservative people. And these are appointments for life until they pass away. Rest in peace, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, or like Justice Breyer in this case, is choosing to retire. But these are appointments for life. So we're going to have that conservative majority for quite some time. And he knew that. That's why he picked Amy Coney Barrett at the young age. I forget, but she's younger than 51. She's younger than Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. So she could
Mm.
spend 40 years up here, bro. Because
Right.
they live long. Women live long. But when you think about it, your thoughts, sir.
Well, it takes me back to that line from William Shakespeare: "All the world's a stage, and we are mere players," or something to that effect. I forget the second line, but all the world's a stage. I feel like we're kind of inside of this box here. There's another line that I love of Shakespeare too: "All that glitters is not gold."
True.
And that stuck with me because I did Shakespeare in my younger days as an actor. But again, I just want to reiterate that point, that the work is underneath. What you're doing, what other YouTubers are doing, what you're doing out there in the street, the knowledge that you're imparting on the youth. Get those kids out of that fourth grade reading level so
Yes.
that these judges or whoever, all these heads, don't have to make decisions that are counterproductive. The real work is always underneath. And I don't want to hog the mic.
No,
I want to
you
let some other
good.
people shine. I see
Yeah,
my
it's
man
all
up.
good.
Good to see you, man.
TL
Um,
Saint in the building.
just wanted to, drop that on,
No, you're
just as a
great.
reminder.
And everyone does not have to agree. Everyone may, as Dr. Thunder, thank you for the super chat, not a fan. Not a fan. But everyone has their, right. Thank God we're in America to say, this might not be the perfect nomination, or I really don't like this nomination. If you're not a fan, you're not a fan.
Hmm.
But in my estimation, like I said, from her professional acumen, top notch, overly qualified, being ready, that kind of thing. Politics, again, I saw a couple questions about her politics. We have to go deeply into her cases in terms of how she rendered judgments. Many also take issue with her marrying someone out here being Caucasian. Her children are mixed race. But I'm not sure that's your grounds, Dr. Thunder, not putting words in your mouth. If you want to come on up, you come on up, sir. But just stating the facts. There are people that have issues here and there. And again, no person is perfect. And again, this is a lifetime appointment. So, with much consideration, I think she's way better than the people that's sitting up there. That's my opinion, but we can go from there. But yes, there are going to be those who do not agree and do not or wish there had been a different nominee. This is America, right? Everyone has their say. But I appreciate you coming up, Kenardak. You're welcome every
Thank you
and
guys for having
anytime.
me. DL Saint.
DL
Much
Saint
love
taking
to you,
over.
man.
What's good? What's good?
Welcome.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for
your
coming up,
service.
sir.
Thank you.
All righty. Bye-bye. DL Saint, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Nice and clear today.
Sweet. Yeah. It's still.
How have
I'm
you
still working on my
been?
end. I still got that echo on my end. I can hear you twice, but
No,
it's
you're a
fine. I can
little
hear you good.
low. Can you turn your volume up just a little bit? But I can hear you, no echo.
Yeah. I've been all right, hanging in there.
Excellent. Like I said, we might have to do a part 2 to the Putin and the war game.
Yeah.
That was an interesting conversation. Late night streaming. If y'all were with me, thank you. After 10 p.m. was going in, talking a little bit about what's happening in Ukraine. Again, our prayers, thoughts, and all that, positive vibes going over to Ukraine with what they're dealing with right now. But today, we're dealing with Ketanji Brown Jackson, again, just nominated to the Supreme Court by Judge Biden. Why do I keep saying Judge Biden? Joe Biden. That's the second Freudian slip by Joe Biden. A quick review here. Let me just throw this up before I take your comments. Again, federal judge since 2013. President Biden elevated her in 2021. This is from the AP to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia, as we just talked about, where 3 current justices, including Chief Justice Roberts, once sat. As a judge, she ordered former White House counsel Dan McGahn to appear before Congress. The case was appealed and dealt with, was appealed and a deal was struck for McCann's testimony. That's one of the bigger cases that came before her on the D.C. Court of Appeals. As I said, she's a graduate of Harvard Law, like Stephen Breyer, the person she's going to hopefully replace, and 3 others on the court. Of the 9 are also, as Kenardak pointed out, they're from the same bowl, from a Harvard Law School background. And she once was a law clerk for Justice Breyer. What I like about her, too, is that she is a former public defender, a federal public defender, right? Who would be the first since Thurgood Marshall with this experience. Yes? First since Thurgood Marshall with this experience on the bench. That's huge. Having represented indigent clients who cannot afford an attorney. She will be the first person on the U.S. Supreme Court since Thurgood Marshall to have public defender experience. That's extraordinary. All right. And she's a native, like I said, of D.C., grew up in Miami. At 51 years old, would be the second youngest justice on the Supreme Court bench. Why does that matter? Again, she could serve for a very long time. So again, I hope you are enjoying it. Suzette Speaks here. Y'all hit the like button. Welcome to all you who are just joining, discussing President Biden's nomination to the Supreme Court, who would happen to be the first Black woman ever nominated. And if confirmed, she will be the first Black woman to sit on the United States Supreme Court. We are getting to know her today, wanting to hear your opinion on her nomination. And if you want to discuss news of the day, you can come on up. I will be dropping the link now. Just click on that StreamYard link and you will pop up in my backstage and you can come on up and give your opinion of today's topic. I have another guest here, adding Mr. DL Saint. So what say you, Mr. Saint, about this nomination?
I didn't know much about her. Still don't. I'm glad that I caught your show because I'm learning so much. So I got to just follow up on that. Thank you.
No problem.
I think that my biggest concern is the fact that she's a public defender. How many times has she encouraged someone to take a deal as opposed to actually going to trial? Because we know public defenders are just like inundated with a caseload. They don't really have the resources and time to actually help sometimes. I mean, you have to take the deal or you're facing 40 years do the 26 months. I mean, to me, that's one of
Sometimes
the
the
biggest
deal is
wrongs.
better than what you will gamble at the trial, though.
Yeah, and well, the thing is not about whether you're guilty or not. It's just we can't necessarily prove your innocence.
Again, that's a whole different can of worms. But sometimes I've seen people I wish had taken the deal, and instead
Yes,
thinking, again, it's not what you did or didn't do; it's what you can prove. That's the way the law works. It's what you
it
can
is,
prove. So sometimes, based on the evidence available, the deal is better for you.
and I understand that. But
Mm.
my hope is she'll take that with her to the Supreme Court if she
That
gets. It looks like she's gonna get
absolutely,
through.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
because
I go ahead,
you
go ahead.
you know when people snatch you up, you could be facing a charge for something you absolutely didn't do, and the deal is better. Like, oh, I can do these
No, I
18
hear.
months.
If you didn't do it, it sucks. I understand what you're saying. This is the law. We could. There's a whole nother discussion because this is the imperfection of the law. But again, we hope that in it I rather than my law professor would say, the guilty man go free than an innocent man go to jail. And this is the imperfection of what we do. I hear you. Miss Glove Girl says, I know someone who went to Ivy League school and is dumb as rocks.
Real talk.
Not saying that's not true. Yes. I hear you. Okay, we'll leave that alone. Hermes Adagas. Being a Gen X woman myself, I'm happy for this nomination. I don't think her life is typical of most Black Americans, but it's similar to mine, and I like it. I hear you. I hear you. So she had very good, supportive parents. She's a descendant of American slaves for sure. They were loving, worked very hard, pushed her. Dad had the mindset to go back to law school. She would be in the library down at University of Miami with him, watching him study, and that changed her whole mind. She was like, wow, my dad doing this, left public education as a teacher and went back to law school. That was one of the key influences on her becoming an attorney, watching her dad study and learning and going through the process himself. So I hear you. Not a lot of people have that type of role model in their home. Her parents are still married. I think it would be 50 some years because she's 51. But yeah, so I agree with you. She had a very good, solid, loving, sounds like upbringing. So that's maybe atypical now, especially, especially. But yeah, she brings all these experiences with her. And again, I look at, especially when I interview people and just think about who I'm going to vote for local judges races. I always want to look at, okay, let me read their bio. Where they from? How are they going to sit up on that bench and look at me, look at my brother, look at my cousin them? That's how I think about it. So a lot of people, when they get the judges' names during election, they be tic-tac-toeing and crisscross. No, you got to look those people up. The judges' races are super important because they also allow people to elevate to the next bench. So once you are an incumbent, once you are elected, most likely you win again, right? So you have to be careful who we put, and we have to kind of do a little research. And my friends and family ask me, who you doing, what you doing with the judges? I'll tell them who I'm voting for the judges because I want them to vote for the right people, especially if I've been in front of them and I've seen, no, not that temperament, no, or things that you might see. Or we've had papers here locally in Miami pull the statistics with people in terms of folks going in front of a particular judge and what percentage go to jail, or we've pulled those. And that has changed my mind for how I felt about a couple people who I like personally. But then I've seen their track record and I'm like, oh my goodness, no. Right. So it's a tough type of what should I say, environment to understand sometimes, because again, you're busy, we're not sure who to vote for, etc. But it's, to me, she's a clear indication as to why it's important that the life experience of the judge kind of be reviewed so that we can understand, okay, who is this person and what are they bringing with them as far as their experience in life to the bench. But I hear you. Thank you, Hermes Addict. Yes, super excited. Miss Globe Girl says, let me go to some of my new comments. Go ahead, DL. What would you like to add?
Well, I mean, I think that it's sad that she's gonna have to deal with that stigma of you're only there because you're an African American woman, and no one's gonna look at anything she does moving forward. And I think that's real sad. But I think we've all dealt with that at some point or another in our lives, especially if you're professional. I was an air traffic controller for 25 years,
Okay.
People were like, "Oh, you're here because you're black." I'm like, "Nah, bro, I'm here because I'm better than you."
Exactly.
And she's gonna have to deal with that. But I guess the rest remains to be seen. She has to write her own history, and I hope she's outstanding. Again, I don't know nothing about her, but I will. I'm taking your word.
Yes. As a jurist, as someone with the actual experience, having been on the bench 10 plus years, that's more than John Roberts was, the current Chief Justice, right? So having had that trial court experience where you basically hearing cases over and over all day, she's had that, right? And she just got elevated to the Court of Appeals. They handle less cases because not every case gets appealed, right? But she has since 2013 been on the federal trial court bench. So that's a lot of experience going through federal cases. So I hear you. Miss Globe Girl says, agreed, it's our season, especially those women who are in the position to take advantage of these things. I love Olmex talking about we should be opted out of history class. You know what? You crazy with that. Your opinion. Thank you for sharing. I love Ebony adds, I'm trying to read which comment to go next. This is why America's not advanced, because they don't want us to tell the truth about the history of our country. I'm a little bit behind, guys. Black Seinfeld feels like it could be a fool's gold. I hear you. Dr. Thunder says it will further divide the Black community. I hear you. Miss Globe Girl, in reference to Ukraine, shout out to those people who are on Snake Island. Did you hear about this? Mrs. Saint, if y'all don't know what this is a reference to, there were some very brave soldiers holding out on an island on the Ukraine, off the Ukrainian southern coast, off of the coast of Crimea, I believe. Snake Island was being, I don't want to say invaded, but a Russian warship was telling them to surrender and identify itself. Russian warship, please surrender, or you may face imminent death. And the Ukrainian soldiers responded, Russian warship, go beep yourself. Unfortunately, though, those gentlemen lost their lives. They did bomb them.
There were women with those soldiers as well. If
Were
you
there
listen
women
to
on
that,
there?
yeah, there were women whispering because the guy was saying, "Hey, should I say it? Should I say it?" And you can hear female voices like, "Yeah, do it." They knew what they were doing.
Wow.
And that's part two. When we get into part two of that,
Yes.
Russia has bitten off more naked truth. They're going to take the country, but they're going to have to deal with an insurgency that is going to make Afghanistan and Iraq look like a walk in the park.
Them boys was ready. Ukraine, I'm proud of you. Ukraine was ready. I don't think Putin them expected this type of insurgency, this type of pushback. Them boys came, they were more ready than I even thought. This was not Afghanistan. This was not, these people want to fight for their freedom. I'm telling you, when I watch the news about it, my tears well up when I see, and it reminds me of, stories of the American Revolution, whether you are, again, American history is being told in so many different ways. But when I mean, the regular everyday dude, the blacksmith, the newspaper printer, these people were not soldiers, but they had to take up arms, right? And I'm looking at the people in Ukraine, and not everybody even have on a uniform. They just have a yellow band, regular everyday dudes that have a Kalashnikov or whatever around their shoulder now, and they're not allowed to leave. The president of Ukraine has said no man, I think it's like 18 to 60 can leave. So people are driving all the way to the border, and they got to get out of the car. Their wife can cross into Poland, and they can't cross into Poland. It's like, I don't even want to go in there because I get so spirited when I think about the courage it has to take. Shout out to President Zelensky.
And the one last thing about that, they don't have, to my knowledge, the right to bear arms like we do in America. And there's so many Americans who don't take advantage of the Second Amendment. And they're like, well, why do we need to have AKs and ARs and this and that? Well, you're looking at why.
Y'all have a Ukraine story? Y'all want to come in? If y'all want to come talk about that a little bit, I'm okay. Because again, what's on top of my mind, I hope it's on top of your mind, was this nomination, Trayvon Martin and Ukraine. So I chose to go with this because I think of the historic nature of it. But if y'all want to come up and talk a little bit about Ukraine, that's okay with me. So go ahead, DL. Mm-hmm.
I got a question for you. Yes. I mean, you know law a lot better than I do. Mm-hmm. Supreme Court is starting to take a look at Roe v. Wade again, right? So how does this affect that? Or does it?
It does. It does. You see my neck crick when you said it, because I feel very strong. I just had a very good spirited debate with a good friend of mine about women's rights, and when it comes to the right to choose. We in Florida, great state of Florida, Sunshine State, are through the House of Representatives of the state considering a bill that would decrease the amount of weeks a woman would have to terminate her pregnancy from 24 to 15. There was a case that was brought up, a Mississippi case that was brought up before the Supremes that also did the same. They didn't strike it down. So you have a lot of states now trying to model that Mississippi law and decrease the amount of time. There are many in the legal community that believe it is only a matter of time with the layout of the court the way it currently is with a conservative majority before Roe v. Wade is really challenged and limited to the degree to which it becomes unrecognizable. The Florida bill that's being discussed does make provisions for fetal abnormality as an exception, and I think life of the mother. They do not make exception for the way it's written right now, as of today, rape, inter-family stuff. Grape. Suzette, this is your stream. Inter-family stuff. And things like that. For those of us who were not alive prior Roe v. Wade, we don't know of the world that existed where people did all kinds of stuff to their bodies to end their carriage. My friend and I, in our discussion about it, because she was like, I was like, "Dog, you gonna vote Republican, or what you gonna do?" Because we were on the phone, and I'm telling her, who I might support and whatever for, because governor is being elected this year in Florida. We have a governor who has been in the news, Mr. DeSantis. So all of these bills, and again, that's why I want my friend or colleague who is in the Florida Senate to come start talking about some of this, because it's also happening in other states around the country where there are bills about, like, we have something that's be called Don't Say LGBT whatever bill, where in elementary school you wouldn't be able to say anything about orientation and things like this. That bill has passed our house as well. This 15-week bill passed the House, is going over to the Senate of the state of Florida now too. So these will likely be challenged and appealed if there's state law that is disputed as far as infringing on our constitutional rights. It gets appealed up to the Supremes, to the U.S. Supreme Court. So the lay of the land right now, though, on that court, thanks to those Mr. Trump's picks, is that this is a heavily conservative court. So how she will have influence unless there are people that's going to come over from a 5-4, which is highly unlikely, it does put, I do think, Roe v. Wade as we know it now is in jeopardy. That's what I know. I won't make any prognostication on what will happen, because it just depends on which case from which state gets in front of the Supremes. But I smell blood in the water, put it like that. And if people don't wake up, like, it's about to be a whole different world. Because even when we think about Florida is a place that, for that type of services like the Caribbean, people come from all over to Florida for that type of service. And South Central America, that's common. People come here to do what they have to do when it's illegal in their country. I'm not saying I disagree or agree. I'm just saying the status quo is definitely being shaken up. Like I said, 15 weeks, a lot of people don't even know they're with child.
I know that's a tough one. I can see you struggling with
No,
it.
it hurt because it hurts my spirit, because I hear of times. My mom, who was a nurse both in Jamaica, she did her, like you would say, almost like nursing residency in Europe. And at the time when she came of age, she talked about some horrific ways people try to end pregnancy. And because we didn't grow up with that, because we're not used to the back alley thing, to remember that time. We don't have memory of it unless you're really, above a certain age. So I think about that when I'm thinking about this issue. Whether me personally I don't think of it that way. I think of it as like, there's people that need this, like need it. Um, but yeah, to take away someone's right to it, I don't know. It's definitely going to be in front of the Supremes pretty soon, I
So
think.
this Supreme Court judge, where does she stand on that? Do we know? I
I
haven't researched
I
it yet.
haven't read any of her decisions on this. I don't know. Is that my answer? I don't know. I don't know. So we'll have to do a little bit more research on that, on if she's had. But if it came through her trial court, it would have already came through. They would have sent it. It wouldn't have come through her. It would have come through the Court of Appeals where she sits now. So I don't know if in that short time, April to whatever, it came any there. I don't think, because we would have been talking about it. It would have been in the news if she had handled something like this, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know is the answer.
And
So I'm
then when
not
you were saying
sure.
that people from other outside of America will come here for those services, Colombia just legalized
Yeah,
the right to choose. So
which is like, they might have to go because it might not be in Florida way. I don't mean to laugh because this is such a deep, it's like a laughter of nervousness. Yeah, the face, what I think was normal or normalized. I think it was the first Black federal judge, Constance Baker Motley, said what, and I was looking for quotes to include about her, because her and Ketanji share the same birthday. She was like, we were born like 49 years apart or something crazy. I was like, oh, wow. But anyway, her quote was, "What seems impossible is possible 10 years later." Right? So things that we thought, and again, from her, she had clerked for, Constance Baker Motley had clerked for Thurgood Marshall. I was reading her bio too. I was like, God, again, Black history. I've heard her name, but I did not know as much as like last night, because Ketanji Brown Jackson mentioned her in her speech, her acceptance speech. I was reading about, I'm like, who is she referring to? And I remember reading about this woman a long time ago, and then reading about her story again just brought to mind, like, again, she was before her time. Our country wasn't, I think Reagan, they said, might have considered her, but was before the country was ready to see something like this. Many would have said.
so I got a question for you as well. Then, so we've talked about the good things about this nominee. What would be, like, name two bad things? Think, like, two worst case scenarios if she gets on the bench. And I guess the pro choice thing could be one.
We
What would be
don't know
another?
her. Yeah, we don't know how she'll rule on certain things. I don't at this current moment. Dr. Thunder was saying he's not a fan, but his thoughts here are straight, free thinking. Black men are not a protected group. Her politics will continue this trend. Oh my. Okay, so maybe too liberal for you, sir. I understand that. Trying to think if there were things that I would be like in her past. Her brother or uncle being, I think they're going to bring it up, sent to jail for drug charges. Her uncle is serving a life term. And she mentioned it straight up in her press conference, was like, this is true. But she has a lot of upstanding, like, I think that we have to say, but she has a lot of upstanding, law-abiding relatives. Former police chief of Miami is also her uncle, etc. So I think that will be brought up. I don't see anything on a record that I'm aware of that would be like, and they would have vetted her way more than my 8 hours of vetting would have produced.
And I guess my question is more to the
Yes.
point of, because you're an insider, I can say you're an insider, you're in law, that's your thing.
Mm-hmm.
What would shock you, if something that, from her, if she were on the bench, they would be like, oh, I didn't see that coming. Like if Thurgood Marshall were to vote against the Civil Rights Amendment, everyone would have
Yeah,
been like,
people
what?
would be
So something
well,
like that.
it would surprise me. And again, her politics may be questionable. It's like, again, you don't want to prognosticate, because again, people get on the bench and act up. Even with John Roberts, I think when he was chosen, he was assumed to probably be more conservative than he is. So again, it's very hard, because I'm like, I see her in one light, that she's most likely, that's why a Democratic president would nominate her, align with the ethos of and again, judges are impartial, but with the ethos that is more aligned with where, I don't even say politics, but where democratic ideals line up. That's more likely where she lines up.
Okay, that makes sense.
However, like I said, people get on the bench and become who they truly are. So I don't know how to answer that. But I hear your question. You're like, what in the world could happen? A lot, but I don't know. But even just based on her vetting, her nomination, her alignment, you could see being much more aligned with democratic ideals. Democratic meaning the big D, Democratic Party ideals.
The only reason I brought that up is I know a lot of people who got positions simply because of affirmative action or set asides or whatever, and they would never acknowledge the fact that they were incompetent. I'm not saying she's incompetent. I'm not
I
saying
don't
that.
think that this is here.
And I'm not saying that, but you know what I'm talking about. There are people that get the position, and then once they get it, they forget the fact that they were incompetent.
Oh,
They
where they
forget
came
the fact,
from. Oh, no, 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 no. Mm-mm, mm-mm.
So
That would
that's why we
surprise
asked.
me if that's her. If that were to happen, this is not, some would argue, what, some would say Clarence Thomas is like. That's not the vibe I get from her at all. At all. And she has support both from Republicans here locally because they know her. They went to school with her at Palmetto. They went to school with her at Harvard. The Miami mayor, Francis Suarez, Republican. I think Mr. Arenberg, Dave Arenberg. I don't know what his current position is. I know he's been a state senator. I think he's a Democrat, but there have been several Republicans just because they know her down here who have endorsed her. Hometown girl, of course, but have endorsed her. So with that type of track record, I'm like, she seems like she has not changed much. Everyone, they went to the local news down here, went to her parents' house in Miami, knocked on her door. I saw her mom, like, oh, her mom came out. I was like, we're excited. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she seems very grounded. The people who speak of her were like, we knew she was going to be great. We just wanted to know where and how. Like, she's always been that kind of super, excelling type, person. Exceptional student, exceptional debater. They talk about her on the debate team a lot. So it just seems like she has been pretty consistent as far as who she is for the majority of her life. So I hope she continues like that. I hope so. Again, like I said, even with John Roberts, some people might say that he was a disappointment to the Republicans because he has seemed to be a little bit more, what should I say, neutral, a little bit more moderate than they would probably have liked. But yeah, based on what the evidence is showing as far as who speaks about her from like class of 1888, no, 1988, putting her back in because based on Palmetto class of 1988, etc., and the people who have seemed to have known her for most of her life, they seem all to say the same thing. Because the locals news, like I said, because she's a hometown girl, has covered her a lot. Here.
Okay, cool. So, and again, this isn't my wheelhouse. I just want to get in and ask you a few questions, and thanks. I'll let you get some.
No, I love it. TTO says they're supposed to say she's wonderful. Duh. Does anybody else want to come up? Y'all so funny. If you have opinions about her, if you have opinions about the nomination, if you have opinions about, and I want to ask you real quick something about Ukraine before you go. If you have a couple minutes, let me drop the link one more time. Anybody want to come up? Last call. I just wanted to do a kind of overview at a glance, who she is, where she's from, how she grew up, so you would have a better understanding of who is this person they're going to be talking about over the next several weeks. She will be on Capitol Hill. She will be meeting with senators. They will have the ultimate say. As I said, right now, the 50-50 chamber, the Senate has 100 members, 2 from each state. 50 are Democrats, 50 are Republicans. So technically, if everybody votes on party line, there will be a tie-breaking vote, and that will be cast by the Vice President, Kamala Harris. So technically, Democrats will be able to get her past party line. They don't need Republicans, but we'll see if the 3 who supported her for the D.C. Court of Appeals, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, and Lindsey Graham, if any of them come over. If not, though, she'll still be gravy if it's a party line vote. Leadership starts with...
Here's the thing to think about, though.
Yes, go ahead.
There's some Democrats who are going to be in some tough races coming up here in a couple of years. There's a possibility that you can get some really, some surprising no votes on this because they're worried about their own races. back wherever they're from.
Oh, this is,
whatever
yeah,
house
and this is going to be, that's why I had to, for my channel, switch a little bit more heavily into social justice and politics. You see this year right here, this 2022 election right here, it's nothing to play with. Not only on the Senate side, but the House side. There are, I think it's up to like, say maybe the ballpark is maybe 20 individuals that are retiring, Democrats that are retiring. So right now, Democrats control both the House and technically the Senate 50-50, but Kamala Harris is a tiebreak, so they control it. This is going to be a sticky election year. As you will see, we'll be discussing it. But yeah, I hear you. There's nothing that's a shoe-in right now, especially with the way politics is looking.
Ooh, so you should do a show on the political side of this, and that would.
Oh
be
yeah, we got to listen. Like I said, the guests I'm asking now to come up are people who have written books on legal matters, former or current elected officials. I want to get a little bit deeper because, like I said, as we get towards the end of the year in November, it's gonna be some people we got to watch from races. Not only here in Florida, I'm gonna try to bridge out Texas. I'm looking at a couple of races. I want to talk to a couple of people if they were willing to come on and talk to me. So yes, I hear you loud and clear. I want to ask you real quick, what do you think? Will the capital of Ukraine be taken?
Yes,
This
absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised if it were to fall by like now, right now. I wouldn't be surprised. I would be shocked if by this time next week it hasn't fallen. I think it's going to devolve into a guerrilla war, and I think this is what the Ukrainians have planned on, and they're going to do a lot of damage. What we're looking at now is what NATO is going to do. Like if NATO authorizes troops, like I said, I told you we're already over there. U.S. forces are already in Germany, and I ain't gonna lie to you, they're probably already in Poland, and along with Polish troops and whoever else, because that whole region want to stop. They want to stop Russia. So yeah, they're gonna fall. But you look at how unhappy the Russian people are, and the Ukrainians can leave and go into Russia and then take the insurgency to them. So this thing can really, really turn into something huge. And we're talking about Europe. That's my biggest fear. If it really gets ugly over there, the Ukrainian president is already talking about dirty bombs. He's already saying, I didn't give up all the nukes. If y'all don't come help me, I'm going to let this go. So he sounds like he's from my hood, actually.
I like Zelensky, bro. Shout out to Zelensky. I'm so proud of him already. I'm proud of him up to this point. I'm like, you're a rock star, bro. You got to be brave as heck to be leading a country that's literally all sides except for your west on attack. Like you got to have some strong what should I say, principles, strong fundamentals to be holding on and being brave and being in front of his people and saying, we got this, y'all. We fighting. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Thank you for your insights, and you're always welcome. I'll probably be in contact with you to talk more Ukraine in the future. All right, you take care, my friend. All right, y'all. Thank you for coming up. DL Saint, big up yourself. You guys, I'm going to sign off here shortly. If anybody else wants to come up, give an opinion on this particular matter, or Ukraine, because like I said, it's in the front of my mind, everything that's happening over there, as well as this good news. We had a little back and forth. I hear you, or Ms. Adeskiev is done for. I hear you. Interesting. TTOO says neither Republicans or Democrats reversed what the other party did. I'm not sure if I agree with you broadly on every single thing, but go back and check the law books only on reverse on taxes. I hear you. Yeah, it's very interesting what's going on in the world right now. It is there's so many moving parts. Sometimes our heads are spinning. We don't even know where to focus. But like I said, in this channel, we're going to be talking a lot more current events just because I know it is something that is going to impact all of us in our lives. I hope you have enjoyed, though, this look at the nominee, the historic nominee, Ms. Ketanji Brown Jackson. Again, she'll be going through the Senate process now. Her next step is to meet with the senators on Capitol Hill, talk about her experience, what she plans to do as a justice. I think we all know what she plans to do, but her temperament, her professional acumen, she's going to meet face to face. People get a good vibe for people then. She will have confirmation hearings where people will bring up her record, all the things that you guys talked about. Where does she stand on this? Where does she stand on that? Senators will have to ask her those things. Maybe point out some case law she's created, some cases that she's rendered judgments on. So I'm interested in that next step, you guys, when we see her on Capitol Hill. The Judiciary Committee, the subcommittee in the Senate that is responsible for this, said they would like to bring her nomination before or start the process and try to complete it before Easter holiday. Not sure if they will do that. So as they move forward, we'll continue to stay on top of it. I want to thank all of you guys for watching, coming through. Yes, true Jamaican. Mixture, right? Best of both worlds. Americans can love their politics too, but Jamaicans, they love their politics. Well, you know how it goes. It is a part of life, really and truly. It is a part of life. What happens through our government affects each and every one of us. How our money is spent affects each and every one of us, right? And policies help to determine what our country looks like in the future. So I always am thinking about future generations as well, and I want you to kind of take that interest if this is kind of your cup of tea, so that we're hopefully making informed decisions. That's where this show is going, to help others make informed decisions about the issues and understand the issues a little bit more than when we started. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this look. Much love. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Kenardak, for coming up. Hit the like button. Y'all have a couple of, yes, Sunbreeze adds congratulations to Ketanji Brown Jackson. She definitely earned it for sure. Yep, TTOO on the Ukrainian issue. Ukraine used to be Russia. Ukraine is smaller than Texas, has less people. Actually, in Europe, it is I think it's like the second largest in Europe as far as land mass to Russia, honestly. So, or Russia is considered Asia, but yeah, it has a lot of land space. Ukraine does, and I'm 40 million plus people, 44 million people. So actually they are big in size, but outgunned as far as the military might. Way outgunned for sure. Thank you, Ty. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you very much for watching. Don't worry, Sandy B. Welcome. How are you, my darling? From the Learn Biz podcast on YouTube. Go check out her channel. No problem. Catch the replay. It's all good. Thank you for coming through the favorite network. Good to see you. Been a minute. Nice to see you back. Glad you passing through. Y'all so messy. Y'all can't leave us alone. TLA came to Miami and ain't told nobody. And I did tell him where I was going to be last Sunday, but I think he said he had meetings and unfortunately we couldn't coordinate. So next time, hopefully he'll let me know before and then we can coordinate better. But yay, Ebony says I'm most definitely here for it. I'm glad you are. Y'all hit the like button on the way out. Thank you to my girls, all my moderators. Thank you, RM. Busy as usual. Yes, Learn Biz podcast. Thank you, Sunbreeze, as well. Go ahead. The next Patreon will be with Dr. Thunder. So we are just coordinating our date. It will be in March. So as soon as I get the date from Dr. Thunder, we will set up our next Patreon. If you guys don't know, before I go, Patreon is a sister website for YouTubers to be able to offer exclusive content to our patrons. So if you like what I'm doing, especially if you like more of the personal development side of things, making sure we are growing from the inside out, right? Emotional intelligence, understanding ourselves a little bit better, making better decisions, right? And really figuring out what motivates us, what's driving us, so that we're not making, the same type of decisions as far as patterns of behaviors that don't serve us. That's what we're doing over on Patreon. I love to do personal development, professional development there. So go to patreon.com/SuzetteSpeaks. Check me out. I hope you will become a member. Like I said, we're doing some good stuff over there. A little bit of behind the scenes as well when I'm out and about. I do have a couple of events I'm probably going to go to in March. So I'll take you with me, right? I'll start my video and kind of let you guys see what life is like here in Miami as I'm kind of networking and hosting things. And I have a brunch coming up on April 3rd, a ladies brunch, and I'm going to put that on Patreon as well. So if you like this type of content, unique content, like I said, you won't get it on YouTube, unique only for members. Come check me out on Patreon. And I keep saying this is like the 10th time saying I need to set up the membership here on YouTube. So if you want to do it through YouTube, you can become a member and support my content as well. So thank you and big up to all my Patreon members. I got to give all of y'all like a big shout out. We're growing over there. So I couldn't ask for a better and more supportive community over there. Thank you so much. And I hope you guys are getting something out of it and it's impacting you as well. So once again, the woman of the hour, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, watch closely. We'll see what her hearings look like, what is raised, one of the issues. You guys are curious about her record, and I'm sure there will be senators that go back and forth with her. So, I do have a Cash App. Of course I have a Cash App. You asking for the Cash App? Why not? Let me throw up the Cash App for support. Of course, you guys can support that way. It's just $ Suzette Speaks. If you guys want to support via Cash App, I really, really appreciate it. Like I said, I'm trying to, well, I've been in contact with several folks. Hopefully they say yes, between voting rights activists, a couple of attorneys, a couple of people running for office. I'm trying to mix it up a little bit, and I'll have a couple of relationship shows in between that. But you guys know I'm not a relationship expert. I'm much more comfortable talking about personal development, making yourself better, learning from your life experience, learning from the experiences of others, showing and telling their growth experience. I love that. So I'll be doing a little bit of that with some YouTube magic. I hope some of my ladies who are on YouTube I've reached out to might want to come over and hang. So I'll do a little bit of a mix, but I'm definitely going to be much more heavily focused on current events. This is an important year, this 2022 election cycle, all the things that we've experienced, even during the pandemic with the George Floyds and all the things that are happening in our country. We have to, I don't say pay attention, stay woke, whatever that is. I don't know about woke, but I think it's overused. But I do think, especially now, it's important that we pay attention and that we have, our eyes and ears open as to what is happening via our legislative bodies, our president, and our local races. It's super important. Right. All right. Appreciate y'all support. Thank y'all for rocking with me. I will see you live. I might post a couple clips, but I'll see you live. Again, my live schedule is Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. All right. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. You can see it over on YouTube. Go over to YouTube, hit the subscribe button. And before you leave, hit the like button so more people can see the show. Flood the comments right now. I'll go. Oh, I see one more super chat. Thank you, Ebony. Big up yourself. Always showing love. Thank you, sis. Represent. Thank you very much. No comment, just love, as they say. Appreciate you always being involved in the comments, leaving your opinions, chatting amongst each other. I love it. This is the public square. So we're going to try to give you food for thought, illuminate you a little bit more on the current issues of the day. And I want to hopefully, involve, like I say, issues that hopefully, thank you, Miss Craig. Okay, on the email. Okay, I see you. Yes, I will. Thank you very much. Again, Ebony, thank you so very much. RM, I love you, girl. Thank you so much. Welcome to the Patreon newbies. Let me know again if you have topics. You can always DM me, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever. You can DM me, or if you want to be a guest and you have an appropriate topic. Depends on the topic. I'm not going to say everybody, but if there's a good synergistic topic, would love to have y'all on. And I appreciate you. So keep your eyes open on the continuing nomination process when it comes to this fearless lady right here. Y'all big up once again, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, first Black woman to be elected or to be nominated for confirmation on the U.S. Supreme Court. All right. I hope you've enjoyed today's show. I'll see you guys very soon. You take care of yourselves and be safe. Take care.